Hello and welcome to the 750 Most Club's home circuit, Donington Park. As the season draws to its conclusion, there's a packed day of action in prospect. So in today's programme, we've just got time to bring you a selection of the best of the racing. And we're going to start with round 12 of the Demon Tweaks Yokohama Stock Cats Championship, also including at the back of the grid the Renault Clio 182 series cars, which will start on a 10-second delay. As far as the stock catches are concerned, as Alan Daffin comes into the pit lane at the end of the green flag lap, it's Tom Bell that can wrap up the championship today. He starts on the outside of the front row of the grid. You'll notice that pole position is left vacant. Jake Farndon blew an engine yesterday. Red lights go out. Away we go for 13 minutes plus one lap of racing. And it's a good start there by Tom Bell, a solid start from him. In yesterday's race he took a third position behind the two Deegan brothers. As further back the Clios get underway as well, half a dozen of these. I understand we're getting up to 16 or 17 cars now in the process of being built. We're looking forward to standalone grids for these cars next season. At the moment though, it's the number 7 car that heads the group. That's Matt Fincham from number 5 Martin Ward as they head through Redgate Corner for the first time. It's Bell that leads though, and then we have a Deegan in second place, and I think that is going to be Shane Deegan from the outside of the second row of the grid. Someone is kicking up a bit of dirt there. That might well be Andy Tibbs, who's having his return to the championship this weekend. We're on board with Paul Jarvis here. He started 8th on the grid today. He's just tucked in behind Nathan Saunders there. You might remember those two tangled at Silverstone at the last meeting. Climbing up the hill towards the double apex right-hander at Coppis now. It's Bell leading. It's the 2011 championship winner, Patrick Fletcher, who's up into second place now. And then the two Deacon brothers, third and fourth. And they had a 1-2 finish yesterday, with Tom Bell finishing third. On board here with Steve Polson, then we look forward and we look back as well. In the mirrors, I can see Pip Howard. I can also see Andy Tibbs as well in the number 28 car, turning their way through the chicane to complete lap 1 of this Demon Tweaks Yokohama Stock Cats race. Tom Bell up front is pulling out a bit of a lead over the rest. It looks like Nathan Saunders has gone up to 4th position as well, I can see. It is Shane Deegan there in the 58 car in 3rd place. Lee Deegan is down in 5th, and it's Paul Jarvis in 6th, ahead of the 34 machine of Scott Sharp from Chester. Turning their way through Hollywood, down through the Craner curves once more. Bell here looking secure. He only needs a fairly modest finish here to wrap up the championship, with still 2 races to spare at Cadwell Park in 3 weeks' time. But he's got a good lead here over the rest of the field. Out of the old hairpin towards Schwantz Curve they go. Problems for the number 22 Clio. That's Kevin Condon from Aylesbury. He's coming into retirement, I'm afraid. Kevin has a non-finish yesterday as well. Paul Jarvis getting a little bit out of shape there as they come out of McLean's then. Up this quite steep hill towards Coppis then. It is still Bell in the lead from Patrick Fletcher. And we've had Shane Deegan then. They're in 3rd position. And Deegan now is pulling out of the slipstream of Patrick Fletcher there. He's going to have a look, I think, down the Dunlop straight. Over that little crest they go, in towards the chicane, but Deegan needs to watch out for Nathan Saunders as well. The two of them are side by side here, and Saunders goes through to 3rd place. Through to the chicane they go then. Saunders, who's had 3 podium finishes coming into this weekend, but he had a non-finish yesterday. Oh, and it's getting very tight there between Steve Polsland and Andy Tibbs. Polsland, you can see, is losing quite a few places because of all of that. He's lost momentum on a crucial part of the circuit coming out of the chicane up the Whitcroft straight towards Redgate Corner. Polsland, who was on the podium last time out at Silverstone, losing out a little bit there. So the top 6 making a breakaway now. You've got Paul Jarvis there with the white roof on his car at the rear of that group. Just ahead of him is Lee Deegan, and Shane Deegan has, well, very nearly a spin. He's off through the gravel, he's over the grass. Shane Deegan is probably going to lose some more places here. He's down to 6th position. Will Scott Sharp get him as well? Yes, he does. So down to 7th position now goes Shane Deegan with a mistake going into the old hairpin there. He might lose another position as well. I think that could be Philip Wright, but makes the move, and it's Deegan down to 8th position then. Bell leading. Fletcher's not letting him get away though. Then it's Saunders in 3rd. Lee Deegan 4th. Paul Jarvis up to 5th then. Paul was in contention for his first ever podium finish last time out at Silverstone, and you can see here how the Clios are starting to get mixed in with the stock catch cars as well. It looks like it is still Matt Fincham leading from Martin Ward. Meanwhile, the leaders are going door handle to door handle, aren't they? And it's Patrick Fletcher that's through on the inside at Redgate Corner to take the lead away from Tom Bell. Well, this shouldn't affect his championship. Meanwhile, look, Paul Jarvis as well. He's going for 4th position. He's challenging Lee Deegan as they go through the Craner curves. But it's Fletcher leading, the 2011 champion, from Tom Bell in 2nd. Saunders 3rd. And it's still side by side between Deegan and Jarvis. And I think Deegan, with his door mirror hanging off, is just about hanging on to 4th position. But he kicks up a bit of dirt now. And that's going to give Paul Jarvis the chance. He's going to try and nip up the inside as they come up towards Schwantz curve. He's took back in behind the other black car. They're losing touch now a little bit with the top 3 as they're battling. Look how Deegan, from an autograss racing background, slides the car around there. Paul Jarvis, who's come on in leaps and bounds over the last season or so, getting his way up towards the front of the championship. He's 6th in the points coming into this weekend, and he's having another go now at Lee Deegan as they come out of Coppice Corner. This is the view from Steve Polson's car. You can see Martin Ward's Clio. Those cars not racing for points. So, it's Fletcher leading, Bell 2nd, Saunders 3rd. Still Deegan in 4th position, that's Lee Deegan, and then Paul Jarvis 5th as they come up and over the line once more. This is the view from on board with Paul Jarvis now. On board his 1.6 litre Citroen Saxo VTR. Turning into Redgate Corner as Tom Bell goes back through on the inside of Patrick Fletcher to retake the lead, or does he? Fletcher runs out wide, Saunders goes even wider. Lots of the grass being used here at Donington Park, and of course drivers won't be able to do that from next season. Bell it is that's back in front though, Fletcher down to 2nd. Saunders still there in 3rd, and look now, Deegan and Jarvis are closing back in on the top 3 as well. Shane Deegan up to 6th position once more. Then it's Sharp. There's Martin Ward in car number 5 then, cutting a swathe through this pack. And it's side by side for the lead once again now, but it looks like Tom Bell's holding on. Saunders back in contention too. He's up to 2nd place because Patrick Fletcher was a bit slow there, I think, coming out of the chicane. So it's Bell, Saunders and Fletcher now, with Lee Deegan having a look up on the inside of Patrick Fletcher as well. Not so long ago, Patrick Fletcher was leading this race, and now he's going to go down to 5th position because Jarvis goes through as well. Fantastic racing this. Paul Jarvis from Hemel Hempstead now to 4th position. Patrick Fletcher, well, maybe he's got a problem because he's now dropped back to 5th place. As I say, not so long ago he was in the lead. Yesterday he was a late retirement as well. As a mistake there from Lee Deegan. That allows a change of positions as well. Here's Jarvis then, he's up to 3rd place. Clear, oh, not for much longer though, because Fletcher fights back going into McLean's corner. Fletcher's back to 3rd, so he's gone from 1st to 5th, back to 3rd again, but there is daylight now between the top 2 and 3rd position. Fletcher 3rd, Jarvis 4th. It looks like we've got Shane Deegan in 5th, Lee Deegan in 6th, and then you've got the first of the Clios, that's Martin Ward, and it's Ben Saybold in the 2nd of the Clios there as well. That's number 25, but it's number 54 coming back down towards us once more. And that's Tom Bell. A bit of a lock-up there for Nathan Saunders in 2nd place. And Jarvis goes back to 3rd at the expense of Patrick Fletcher. Jarvis up to 3rd position. Fletcher down to 4th. And very soon, Martin Ward is going to get involved in this scrap as well. The Clio driver, not racing with them for points. I'm sure he'll be mindful not to upset their races too much, if you can possibly avoid it. Fletcher losing a gout again. There's contact between the 2 cars. That's Deegan and Fletcher. They both go sideways. Deegan running off the circuit there. That's just given Paul Jarvis a couple of car lengths of breathing space over the rest. It's Shane Deegan there, holding on to 4th place. Then it's Fletcher, and you can see there's some damage to his car now with the various little bits of contact he's had during the course of this race. Still Lee Deegan's passenger side door mirror waving merrily in the breeze. Now Martin Ward actually losing a position there in the clear. Now we don't really expect that to happen. The Clios should be a little bit quicker over a lap time. Deegan there sliding the car through McLean's, the right-hander. Now the climb up towards Coppice Corner. Bell and Saunders and Jarvis is closing in on them as well, I think. There's Fletcher. Martin Ward is now really back into the clutches of Benny Seibold in the Clio class battle. They're dropping down the hill once more. Not much time left in this race now. 13-minute plus 1 lap race, of course. It's Bell, Saunders, Jarvis, the top 3. Fletcher's dropped back further still now, hasn't he? He's behind those 2 Clios as the cars go on to their final lap of the race. Well, are we going to see any change? It looks like Benny Siebold was about to attack Martin Ward for the lead within the Clio part of the race. We've lost Matt Fincham a little bit earlier on, unfortunately. He was in charge of the Clio battle. One of the prime movers behind this new Clio series, of course. It's him that's developed the initial car for this development series. Martin Ward still there then, car number 5. Turns his way under Starkey's Bridge, but here are the top 3 then. It is still Bell, Saunders and Jarvis. Paul Jarvis yet to have a podium finish in the Demon Twinks Yokohama Stock Cats Championship. Could he have his chance this weekend? There's a saxo between the first 2 Clios now of Ward and Siebold. Look at the top 3, how close they are through Coppice Corner. Really only one more corner to go now, and that's the chicane. But the car's still close enough for an overtaking opportunity, and Paul Jarvis knows that. He tries to find a way down the inside of Nathan Saunders, but he can't quite get alongside down the straight. He's going to have to tuck back in behind. And it looks like the order is set, so Tom Bell is going to come out of the chicane up towards the checker flag, and he takes the win, and he takes the Demon Twinks Yokohama Stock Cats Championship as well. Tom Bell victorious, Nathan Saunders second, Paul Jarvis is third. 4th position in the end goes the way of Shane Deegan, and on the run to the checkered flag we have lost Martin Ward, so the Clio win goes to Benny Siebold. Confirmation of those results then, it is Tom Bell that takes the win from Nathan Saunders by 0.4 of a second. Paul Jarvis in third, another 0.3 back. Shane Deegan not too far behind either. Ben Siebold in the end was the best of the Clios in 6th overall. He also got the overall fastest lap. Shane Deegan, fastest lap within the Stock Hatch cars.
Tom Bell, you are the 2013 Stock Hatch champion. You must be a very happy man.
Very happy indeed, yeah, brilliant. Can't believe I've done it really. It was a tough year, but so we've got some victories early on and it's paid off now, so yeah, very pleased.
And that race for you is a lot harder than we saw yesterday as well.
Yeah, a lot harder, especially, obviously it helped. Obviously Jake had a problem yesterday, so he wasn't on the front row, so it gave me a bit of breathing space into the first bend. But yeah, I was under a lot of challenge throughout the race really, and sort of glad when the last lap board come up.
How are you going to celebrate?
I'll probably have a few drinks and a meal during the weekend with family and that, and then just get ready for Cadwell really.
I'm sure you have quite a few. Well done, Tom.
Thank you.
Nathan, well done your second place there. You tried to give Tom Bell as much pressure as possible.
Well, yeah, we were catching up towards the end of the race, but obviously we had a few battles along the way, and but no, we got there in the end. But we had a few problems with the car as well, like overheating wise. I think it got to like 115 degrees when it should have only been at 80, 90. So if we run a little bit cooler, then perhaps we could give him a run for his money.
And it's your 4th podium of the year, so you picked up quite a few along the way so far.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been quite lucky this year. It's the rookie season. I wasn't really expecting to do that well, but obviously something's working right. The car's feeling good, I'm feeling good. 3 on the last round.
Well done, Nathan.
Thank you very much.
Paul Jarvis coming home third there, your first podium. You must be another happy man as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't expecting that from today's race. Yesterday's race I went backwards, so like I say, we made a small change overnight, and it made a huge difference. The car was transformed. So yeah, pretty stoked to get it. I just don't know what else to say.
And it's always tough opposition out there in this Stock Hatch Championship, so you had to hold on to that podium as well.
Yeah, exactly. When I got third on the second or third from the end lap, I could not relax. I knew that instead of focusing on my rearview mirror, I had to look ahead and try and catch the cars in front. That's the only way to stay in that position.
Well done, Paul.
Thanks.
Join us again after the break for Classic Stock Hatch. The Demon Tweaks Yokohama Classic Stock Hatch Championship is also set to be decided today. It's Lee Scott that leads the points. A 7th place finish today will guarantee him the championship with 2 races to spare at Cadwell Park. Today he lines up on the outside of the 3rd row of the grid pole position held by the Nova of Mervyn Beckett. Dan Gibson is next to him on the front row of the grid. The lights go out and away they go. Lee Scott had the win yesterday from Gibson and Andy Philpotts, but Mervyn Beckett here in the Nova, an ex-championship winning car in the hands of Pip Hammond, and Damien Cottrell has a good lead already. It looks like Andy Philpotts is squeezing through into second place. That's the red XR2i going down the inside line there into Redgate corner. Dan Gibson there in third place. We're on board with Martin Kayser here, car number 88, qualified further back than normal. He had to rebuild his engine in the week, so he was just running it in during qualifying. You can see here he's absolutely mired in the midfield battle. We're side by side there with the returning champion Damien Cottrell, who's racing Richard Herbert's XR2 this weekend. Out of the old hairpin they go, and Kayser in that number 88 car, the white XR2i with the blue bumpers. He's side by side with Cottrell there, as someone's got big problems there. A very smoky looking machine that's possibly going to go into retirement. That could well be Gregory Dowie. Didn't have a finish yesterday despite having his best qualifying yet. Yes, it looks like Dowie is in real trouble there, I'm afraid to say. The man from the Potteries. Leaders turning their way through Coppice Corner then for the first time. Sad to say that Paul Thorpe is not on the grid today. He was involved in a final corner incident. Backmarker spun in front of the leading pack. And Thorpe's car badly damaged in all of that. He's unable to take part today, or indeed for the rest of the season. But it's Andy Philpotts that now leads the race then. Mervyn Beckett has gone down to second position. As the cars get on the power on the way out of the chicane, along the Wheatcroft straight they will go. Problems further back. Oh, that's Dowie, who might well be spinning there on the fluids coming from his car. He's gone off into the gravel trap now. Is that going to cause a problem there? Meanwhile, Beckett's lost another place now because Dan Gibson, who was on pole position yesterday and led for some of the race, he's now up to second place, but it's Philpotts that leads, the 36-year-old from Basildon who works for Ford, and he's been competing in Classic Stock Catch now for something like 8 seasons, and he's still yet to have a win. And he's in the lead of the race now, so are his fortunes going to turn around today? We'll see about that very soon. Also non-starting the race today, Andrew Thorpe and John Hill. Meanwhile, the leaders now up at Coppice Corner. They're starting to make a break from Beckett, who's in third position. Lee Scott there in the number 42 car. He's the championship leader in fourth. Ryan Lowry, number 22, is in fifth place. And we're back on board with Martin Kayser, who's been clattering the curbs there in this car that he prepares all on his own, but with the help of his 14-year-old son James as well. Oh, now problems here. Cars going past him down the straight. Sounds like he can't quite get into the gear that he wants to, maybe, so that's causing him problems down into the chicane. Out of the chicane he comes. Yeah, oh, he still seems to have some problems with the car there, looking down into the gear lever area. Maybe he's just struggling to find and select a gear. There, though, is Damien Cottrell in the number 1 car, so he's making some progress up the order. He started on 14th position. Side by side for the lead now. Philpotts is coming under attack here from Dan Gibson, but also Mervyn Beckett as well, who's close back in. It's Beckett's first season in circuit racing. He's going very well. He's already secured the rookie class, I think, for this season, but Cottrell now is involved as well, and there's 3 cars side by side. Lee Scott in the middle, Damien Cottrell on the right hand side of your picture, and Dan Gibson on the inside, but it's side by side for the lead as well, with Mervyn Beckett trying to go around the outside of Andy Philpotts into Redgate corner. Oh, and there's almost contact there, but Philpotts in the number 6 car holds on, and that little schmozzle brings the next 3 cars back into contention as well. So it's 5 for the lead. Then there's a gap back, and it looks like it's Ryan Lowry and Matt Rosier disputing 6th position there in XR2i and 205 respectively. Down towards the old hairpin, and Damien Cottrell trying to find a way through on the inside of Dan Gibson to take 3rd place away. Now looks to the left-hand side of the circuit. The next turn is a left-hander, and this is Martin Kayser. Just ahead of him is Derek Rosier, I think that is, as they are about to go under Starkey's Bridge. Well, Kayser seems to be back on the pace now, which is good to see after that moment earlier on in the race. Turning their way through McLean's now. Gets a better run out of the corner than Derek Rosier. There's the number 64 car, which is the Citroën AX of Bill Pereira. Lots of variety on this classic stock catch grid, much more so than in the contemporary, if you like, stock catch. For the lead, it's side by side, and now it's Dan Gibson that's taking the fight to Andy Philpotts, and Philpotts is slowing as they come down the Weekoff straight. He's got a problem, so it's Gibson that now takes the lead. Beckett's second, and is Philpotts just about going to cling on to third place, because Damien Cottrell in the number 1 car, the reigning champion from last year, trying to go around the outside, and now Ryan Lowry trying to get down the inside of Philpotts as they go through Hollywood, and he's done it. So lots of chopping and changing position all the time. In fact, that was Lee Scott, wasn't it? But Ryan Lowry was in there as well, and he's gone through too. Lee Scott in the all-white car. It's the black bumper and the green mirrors for number 22, Ryan Lowry. Lee Scott in a white car these days, an orange car for many years, but white cars to match his sponsors, Ergro Air Conditioning. The leaders then heading up towards McLean's, and it's Gibson now from Beckett, but Cottrell slides through on the inside of his old car and takes second place away there from Mervyn Beckett. Fantastic stuff. We've got a 3-car battle for the lead, 2 cars for 4th, and another 2 cars for 6th position as well. Gibson, Cottrell and Beckett as they turn their way through Coppice Corner now and down the Dunlop Straight. There sure to be another change here going into the chicane. But what's it going to be? Is Cottrell going to make a move down the inside of Gibson? It's still quite a long way back. In fact, they all do tuck into a straight line. It's Scott there in 4th. Lowry now has slipped back behind Matt Rosier again. And look at this, Martin Kayser has very much come back into contention. Andy Philpotts is continuing, but engine problems possibly for the number 6 car. The lead being disputed once more. Gibson and Cottrell absolutely together, turning their way through Redgate Corner. Gibson possibly a bit wide. That gives Cottrell the chance to go down the inside through Hollywood. No, not quite. Gibson closes the door. Cottrell will have another go though. Tucks in behind Gibson as they go down the corner curves. This is by far Dan Gibson's best weekend in classic stock catch racing. Leading the race here on pole position yesterday. The 2 XR2s in the lead of the race, then the Nova GTE in 3rd position, and they're side by side for the lead now. Through the left-hander, but it's going to be the inside line for Damien Cottrell as they go into the right-hander at McLean's, which is the more significant corner. And is he going to go through? But no, Gibson holds on. Great stuff this from Dan Gibson. But I think he's delayed there. Oh, and there's almost contact. There may even have been a little bit of contact there as they climb up the tail towards Coppice, but Gibson still holds on. It's Cottrell in 2nd, but trying to go around the outside of him on the grass. There is Lee Scott, who gets sideways. Scott goes back down to 4th position, so it's Gibson leading, Cottrell 2nd, Beckett 3rd, and Lee Scott 4th. Remember, Lee Scott just needs to finish inside the top 7 to wrap up the championship with 1 meeting still to spare. You wouldn't know it though, because he's getting well stuck into this race. And look, in the background there you can see Martin Case up to 5th now. Great drive from him. Considering he started this race in 12th position, has had problems during the course of it, Martin Kayser is turning in a spirited performance here. Down to Redgate car, the car's jinking, corner they go, the car's jinking about the circuit. Cottrell trying to find a way through on the inside of Dan Gibson as this race approaching its climax now into the final couple of laps. 4 for the lead, Beckett there and Scott as well. It wouldn't surprise me if Lee Scott won this race. He's very experienced, very canny, 3 times a classic stock catch champion in its various guises. For many seasons it ran with the other cars as through on the inside up the old hairpin goes Damien Cottrell to take the lead away from Dan Gibson, who goes down to 3rd because Mervyn Beckett goes through as well. Now it looks as if Beckett was going to attack for the lead as well, but Cottrell has staved him off for the moment. On the grass goes Dan Gibson as he tried to get 2nd place back from Mervyn Beckett there. It's going to put him on the outside line though for McLean's corner and for Coppice as well. 2 right-handers, in fact really 3 right-handers, because Coppice is a double apex corner in a row here, and Gibson, is he going to get hung out to dry? Can Scott find a way through on the inside? He's certainly going to have a go. Those 2 cars virtually side by side, and look, Martin Kayser's with them now. He could win this. He's going to go down the inside of Dan Gibson as well. Fantastic stuff into the chicane. Cottrell just about making a slight break in the lead of the race now. It's Beckett 2nd, Scott 3rd, Gibson 4th, Kayser 5th and Matt Rosier 6th. 4th, 5th and 6th are 3 abreast now as they go on to the final lap. But has Damien Cottrell got this one? On an occasional return to classic stock catch racing, he was out at Rockingham as well. But here he's on for the win as they go on to the final lap. Kayser there 4th, Gibson down to 5th. He was leading not that long ago. Matt Rosier 6th and Derek Rosier 7th. Look how close the first 7 cars are going into the final lap of the race. Classic Stock Hatch rarely disappoints. It's always a good race at Donington Park, and this has been no exception. Down towards the old hairpin for the final time. Gibson and Kayser are we're going to change positions there, I think. Gibson keen to get back into the top 4. On board with Kayser now, supported by finish line performance in the gearbox centre as well. Turning their way through the left-hander at Schwarzkopf. Now the right-hander at McLean's, and can he find a way through here on the inside of Lee Scott? No, he can't. But Cottrell now a bit further up the road. I think he's got this done and dusted. Now can Mervyn Beckett get his best finish yet? He's had a 3rd place, but he's yet to have a victory or a 2nd place in Classic Stock Hatch. Here's his chance, but he's got to defend from Lee Scott, who goes to the right. Now he goes to the left, and it's a pincer movement because Martin Kayser's going to have a look as well. Down towards the chicane for the final time. On board with Damien Cottrell, though, our race leader. I think he knows he's done it. Yes, he's punching the air already. Up to the line they go, checkered flag is out, and look, Martin Kayser's got 3rd away from Mervyn Beckett. He was hoping for his best finish in 2nd, but he doesn't even get onto the podium in the end. And look, side by side for 5th and 6th as well, and it was just Dan Gibson got the verdict over Matt Rosier. Confirmation of the results then, Damien Cottrell winning by 1.4 seconds in the end over Lee Scott, with Martin Kayser snatching 3rd place from Mervyn Beckett at the final corner. Daniel Gibson was 5th and Matt Rosier 6th. On his way back up through the field, Martin Kayser got the fastest lap as well, but the championship plaudits this year, well, they go to Lee Scott.
Damien Cottrell, race winner of the 2nd Classic Stock Hatch race, and I bet you're glad to be back.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I got a chance to drive Richard's car. He's very kind to let me have it, and I didn't want to let him down.
And you kind of work your way through there, picking everyone off, and you managed to get to the head, which is always nice.
Yeah, I like to have a good go, and I don't leave anything on the track, so I don't think I left much of the cars on the track, but there you go. Yeah, it's you got to go for it when you got to go for it, and look, it worked out for me today.
Well done, Damien.
Thank you.
Lee Scott, well done on your 2nd place and 2013 Classic Stock Hatch champion.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a great year, and I'm really pleased to have got it closed off already.
I think the main focus for you in that race was kind of just keep it on the track, stay out of trouble, and just get it to the flag.
Yeah, and it was looking nice and clean for the first 3 quarters, so it was all going to plan. Matt had some issues over there near Craner, and Matt managed to get me in front of Matt, who was running 2nd. It was great, and then just stay out of trouble the last few laps.
Many congratulations, Lee.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Martin, well done on 3rd place. How was that for you?
That was hard work, that was. I think it started off okay and I dropped back. I think I got stuck in 4th gear. Something wasn't right. It dropped us back for a whole lap, and then it was it all came back, and it was fight from then on. That was some of the hardest work I've had to do. And I think it was lucky that the front lads were messing with each other a little bit, which allowed me to catch up towards the end. And then the last lap, I could see them all dicing, and it was a case of got to go for it on the last lap. So I ran on the ragged edge on that, and then into the I think it was into the S's. I think I had Merv trying to block us on the inside. I had Lee on the outside. I think Merv was looking for both of us, but I just managed to squeeze in. The brakes were working well today, and so I've got to be chuffed with 3rd place. The engine was in bits this week. It was in complete bits. The pistons were out and everything. We had a problem. And so it's gone well this weekend. I can't argue with 3rd place, to be fair.
Well done, Martin.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
It's single-seater action after the break with the final round of the Tillotson Formula V Championship. It's a little bit too close for comfort for Paul Smith going into this final round of the Tillotson Formula V Championship. He was hoping to have wrapped things up yesterday, but his car got stuck in 4th gear. Nevertheless, he still finished in 4th position as Martin Farmer took his first win of the season. Today, Paul Smith must finish at least 13th to wrap up the championship. Farmer must take P1 or P2 to stand any chance. Red lights go on, and they go out. Away we go then. So Paul Smith in that AHS Dominator on pole position. He makes a good start. So does Graham Gant from the outside of the front row in the WEV. Martin Farmer there in the number 4 car with his Dayglow helmet. the red nose of that GAC as the rest of the field make their way through Redgate corner for the first time. So it's very much an uphill struggle for Martin Farmer. Unlikely he'll take the championship, most likely that Paul Smith will. He's had 8 victories this season to just the 1 so far for Martin Farmer, and that was yesterday. Farmer in 3rd position. Oh, there's a spinner coming down the Craner curves. That's a frightening moment for Ian Jordan, who'll have been doing 100 miles an hour through the Craner curves, and the Class B champion, well, he's got a bit of work to do to get back into the Class B lead now in this race. Class B for cars running to a slightly more basic specification than some of the very front-running machinery, but Ian Jordan still pedals those cars very quickly. But as I say, he's dropped right back down the order now. There he is, you can just see him going through the shot at McLean's. He's not quite at the back of the field. Paul Smith, though, leads the way over the crest and down to the chicane for the first time. Look, he's already pulling away from Graham Gant in 2nd place. Martin Farmer having a look down the inside of Gant, and he makes that look very easy under braking for the chicane. So Farmer goes 2nd, so he's starting to do what he needs to do now. Gant is in 3rd position. It looks like Ian Buxton is 4th. He was on the podium yesterday. And then 5th at the moment is Tim Probert, who started 4th on the grid for this race. But he's now coming under threat from Peter Belzy in that green Spider that's trying to go round the outside of him, going into Redgate corner. But no, Tim Probert in the Storm, man from Yorkshire, able to hold off Belzy in car number 5. Belzy, who's 12th in the championship coming into this weekend, not having done all of the rounds this season. There's Gant, who's had a pretty good run of podium form, 5 podiums from the last 6 races, but under pressure here from Buxton. He's made some changes to the car for this weekend, and they seem to be working out pretty well for him. As I say, a podium finish yesterday. It was the 2nd time he'd been on the podium this season. Had one at Pembrey as well back in June. So Probert then with Belzy behind him. There's a queue of cars lining up here for 5th position as well. Included in that group the likes of Craig Pollard, who's looking to secure 4th position in the championship. He is the number 92 car, but I think that's his teammate, number 41, Paul Taylor, another of the Bears Motorsport GACs that is just up ahead. Look at the cars, jink out of the slipstream. The toe, really important in Formula V racing. These cars, not that powerful, but making sure that we get some good racing here. Aerodynamics, not too much in the way of them. So slipstreaming is an absolutely great way of trying to find a way past, and that's what Paul Taylor's trying to do. He's trying to do something different out of the slipstream there, going to the outside of the circuit, but Peter Belzy going down on the inside as well. It looks like Pollard is trying to follow him through, and whatever Taylor was trying, it's not worked because he's lost a position there to his teammate Craig Pollard, the trainee accountant from DIS. Through Hollywood they go, down the Craner curves. It looks like this battle for 5th position is the one to watch, because the first 4 cars have already made their way through the old hairpin now. So Pollard there is in 7th place. Paul Taylor, number 41, is in 8th position, just behind Probert and Belzy. Still though, Gant has some work to do to try and fend off Ian Buxton for 3rd position. As we wait for this next battle to come through, 4 cars involved in it at the moment. Pollard jinking to the right now, goes to the left. He's going to go to the outside, is he, of Belzy as they go into Coppice corner. Oh no, he's not. And before you know it, there's another car involved as well, so 5 cars now involved in this battle. One to watch from further back down the grid, I'm sure he'll get involved later on, is the number 35 car of Daniel Pitchford, because he was a race winner, don't forget, at Snetterton earlier on in the season. So behind the number 41 car of Paul Taylor is Steve O, that's latched himself onto the back, and also as well 55 is Peter Studer in the Shane. His is the first of the Class B cars, as it's side by side for 5th position, and Peter Belzy in the Spider, the ex-championship winning car when it was in the hands of Jez Clark. He tried to go around the outside there, but Probert is doing a magnificent job here of keeping everyone behind him. Now Belzy goes to the inside line through the Craner curves, and that will also give him the inside for the old hairpin if he can stick it out. It's a brave man that does that through Craner curves though. He can't make it work. So Probert, Belzy, Pollard, Taylor, that's 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th positions as they make their way under Starkey's Bridge. Still Gant holds on to 3rd place, but McLean's from Buxton as Paul Smith continues to lead from Martin Farmer. So it's looking good for Paul Smith in the championship, but this train of cars gets ever bigger, doesn't it? 6 cars involved. Steve O is the man who could take 4th place away from Craig Pollard in the championship here, and Peter Studer in the 55 car, not having done all of the races so far this season. Tim Probert lies 8th in the championship, by the way. He's not had a podium finish this season, but he's had a few good consistent results inside the top 6 or 7 places. Belzy now, who came close to a win at Rockingham. It would have been his maiden win, but in the end that went the way of Ben Anderson, who has since retired from Formula V racing to focus on FF 1600. So Probert and Belzy and Pollard, and Studer has now made his way up into the 4th car within that group, so 8th position overall. Steve-O is 9th, and Paul Taylor, the man losing out, he's gone back down to 10th position. So 6 cars fighting over 5th, 2 cars fighting over 3rd place. It's still Gant, who has made changes to the car as the season has gone on. It really seems to have worked out for him. Well, Pollard now is up to 6th position. He's trying to go 5th here around the outside of Probert, but he might find that he loses out to Peter Belzy. No, he doesn't, so Pollard holds on to 6th position. 7th is Belzy in the green car now. And look, Pitchford has got himself involved as well, because his is the white car, number 35. So watch out for Daniel Pitchford in the Leastone, run by AHS. He's up to 8th place now, and with power to add. Had that victory at Snetterton early on in the season, but has not done all of the races this year. Not seen him out since the Donington rounds at the end of June, in actual fact. Bit of lappery to be done. That's the number 47 car, Stuart Roddick. His Shane is dispatched by this snarling pack of Formula V's, the 1300cc air-cooled engines. Working overtime here. Through McLean's they go. You can see Jack Wilkinson in that battle as well, so Brenton Jones. They all made their way ahead of Paul Taylor. Whether Paul's got a problem or not, I'm not sure, but he's going backwards down the order as this race goes on. It's fight for 5th position, with still the lead being held by Paul Smith, Martin Farmer in 2nd, Graham Gamp 3rd, and Ian Buxton in 4th position. But this is where the battle is at, and it's involving most of the rest of the field now, as Pitchford goes ahead of Belzy and up into 7th position. There's Peter Studer ahead of Steve-O, another of the AHS dominators, the same kind of car that is being used by Paul Smith. Now Pollard here having another fight for 5th position. He knows that he's in a title fight, or for 4th position in the championship, you should say, with Steve-O, so every point counts. You could do with getting ahead of Tim Probert here. So it's Probert, Pollard, Pitchford, and then Belzy. The 3 P's and a B turn their way into the old hairpin. 87 car there at the head of the group of Jack Wilkinson. Number 15 is Stephen Bailey, now out in a GAC, having changed car partway through the season. Yellow flag there, so we've got a car that has stopped out on the circuit, I think, which the drivers just need to be aware of. No overtaking, of course, in a yellow flag zone. Hard to avoid in such a screaming pack as this. And a car in the pit lane, I'm afraid. Looks like it's heading back out, though. 88 is the car of Chris Wilshire, making his way into the chicane, as this pack is about to close in on him. And it's Pitchford now that's up to 6th position at the expense of Pollard. So a change there. There's Paul Taylor, and behind him is Brenton Jones, car number 46. That's the LB J86-2. And Ian Jordan, after his spin down the craners on the first lap, back involved as well. 3 abreast almost going into Redgate corner this time. Pollard gets 6th place back from Pitchford. Then it's Belzy, then it's Studer. Absolutely fantastic racing this from the Tillotson Formula V Championship. It's just a shame it's not for the lead of the race, but a great scrap. You can't take your eyes off it. Paul Smith, I can tell you, is doing what he needs to do to wrap up the championship. As number 92, Craig Pollard, goes through. He's lost out again to Pitchford, therefore. Back marker lappery being done. That's Wilshire trying to keep out of the way as the cars turn their way through McLean's once more. Yes, Wilshire keeping well to the left-hand side of the circuit as Ian Jordan goes past, the 43-year-old from Tunbridge. Probert from Yorkshire. A long trip for him for most of the races. On to the final lap, Martin Farmer still there in 2nd position, but Graham Gant's certainly not let him get away. Paul Smith, I can tell you though, is out in a fairly convincing lead. 8 seconds his advantage going on to this final lap. All the crane as they go then. Farmer's second place, well, he's done as much as he can to try and wrest the title. If Smith stops in the final half a lap, then the championship will be Farmer's, but I think that's fairly remote. Belzy back ahead of Pitchford, so Pitchford having lost out a little bit, he's back down to 8th position, so it's Probert 5th, Pollard 6th, then it's Pitchford and Belzy side by side for 7th and 8th positions. Peter Studer there in 9th as well. Last round of the Tillotson Formula V Championship, so we'll see all of these cars and drivers back out again in 2014. I'm sure it'll be a fantastic year. Paul Smith, though, has had a fantastic 2013. He was the champion in 2012. He comes out of the chicane, takes the checkered flag, and he's the champion in 2013 as well. Congratulations to Paul Smith. Second is going to go the way of Martin Farmer, and third to Graham Gant. Only 0.3 of a second between them as they take the checkered flag, and Ian Buxton having a relatively lonely 4th position, but 5th backwards still to be decided as the cars head their way down the Dunlop Straight. It looks like Probert's got 5th away, but who's going to be 6th? It's Pollard on the inside, it's Pitchford on the outside, and I think it's just going to be the white car of Pitchford that's going to do it. The Lee Stone is going to go through and take 6th position. 7th goes the way of Craig Pollard. 8th is Belzy in the end. Peter Studer wins Class B on this occasion in 9th overall, and is Shane. So here are the results then. Paul Smith taking the win by 8.6 seconds from Martin Farmer. Another 0.3 back was Graham Gant in 3rd place, with Ian Buxton 4th. Although Tim Probert was 5th on the road, after all his hard work, I'm afraid he was excluded for eligibility issues, so that promoted Dan Pitchford and Craig Pollard up into the top 6. And that was enough for Craig Pollard to take 4th in the championship behind Smith, Farmer and Gant. Celebrations then for Paul Smith as he retains the Tillotson Formula V title.
Paul Smith, well done on the final win of the year, and congratulations on the 2013 championship.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a long old season, but we got there in the end, so it's the main thing.
You picked up most of the wins this year, and you were kind of being given the championship in terms of the most wins, but you had to work hard for it.
Yeah, it would have been amazing to think that we won so much, started on pole and pretty much won every race start we started, but there was still that sort of niggle in your back of your mind that could have all passed and still lost the championship, but it just goes to show how tight it always is.
Are you going to be back next year to try and regain it?
I'm not sure. I'd like to go and do radicals, but obviously budgets with everything like that, but if not, yeah, we'll come back and do V. It's good fun and good racing.
Many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Martin, well done on 2nd place there in that Formula V race, and it was a bit smoky towards the end.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, ideally yesterday's race would have been today and finish on a high, finish with a win. But having said that, I think we were quite lucky to get to the end and finish 2nd, because Graham was catching me rather quickly in the last few laps.
But overall for 2013, you're pleased with how it's went?
I think, yeah, we have to say, yeah. It was an improvement on last year, but obviously it's always we've finished most races 2nd, so it's a little bit disappointing. So it was a good job we got the win yesterday. But I guess we can, if we're back next year, we can try and build on that.
Well done on a pretty good end to the year.
Cheers, thank you.
Graham Gant, well done on 3rd place. Great way to end the year.
Yeah, very happy result today. Had a good race yesterday. Had some problems which it had some problems which we managed to sort out overnight, and the team's put a really good effort in, and guys that even aren't in the team have been helping, which is really good, and managed to keep going today, which is give us the result we need for 3rd in the championship. So very happy. Wouldn't have dreamt that at the beginning of the year, so it's been a very good year for us.
Well done, Graham.
Thank you.
Coming up after the break, it's Bike Sports action. The cars are on the warm-up lap for the 2nd Spire Sports Cars Bike Sports Championship race of the day. Earlier on, Oscar Kruger, the Swedish youngster, won by 0.2 of a second from Lewis Plato, with John Paul Ivy in 3rd position. Championship-wise, it looks to be between Ivy and Tim Gray, although with Plato back this weekend after a 2-meeting absence, there could be an upset still. Headlights are on, and they go out. And we are off and running for an 18-minute plus 1 lap race here at Donington Park. You can see Tim Gray in his Class C Spire on the outside of the front row. In theory, not quite as quick, that car, but going with the Radical PR6 of Oscar Kruger through Redgate Corner for the first time. Towards the back, you can see that low-slung black car of number 13. That's Ian Cumming in the Speeds, but it's Kruger that leads from Tim Gray in second place as they come down towards the old hairpin for the first time I should say. John Paul Ivy in third position in his Radical. There's a spinner further back. Who is that? Well, he's facing rear onto us, so we can't see him, but up in the lead of the race it is still Oscar Kruger in his PR6. Jesper Vesterholm I can see in fourth position. He ended race 1 in that McLean's gravel trap after some contact. There's the number 19 car, which is Gary Ramsdale's Radical SR3. As down the Dunlop straight they come for the first time then. Kruger leading, Gray second, but John Paul Ivy having a look down the inside of Gray, going into the chicane. John Paul Ivy sticks in third position at the moment, but Jesper Vesterholm right behind him. Someone into the gravel trap, that's Richard Stables, number 95 there, but he manages to rejoin. Oh, but further back, problems, 2 cars off. One of them is Ramsdale, the other I could see, I think, was Ian Cumming. Just out of shot there, but certainly we've got the 19 car in the gravel trap in not a particularly good position. Through the crane as they go then. Top 4 here are getting away from the rest. Quite a big gap back to the 5th position car as they make their way under Starkey's Bridge once more. It is still Kruger that's leading from Gray in second place. Early on, Tim Gray took 4th position, but hands in the air now, so the drivers will have seen, I think, a red flag because of that car off at the chicane. And yes, sure enough, the red flags are waving there at Coppice Corner. That's why Ian Cumming stuck in the gravel. We also saw Gary Ramsdale off as well. We're going to get a restart over 15 minutes plus 1 lap from the original grid. Lights out and away they go. Andy Cummings there in the black and yellow Radical on the second row of the grid. Again, not getting such a good start. He's bundled back a little bit. Looks like Jesper Vesterholm has got away quite nicely. Adrian Reynard in the number 29 Reynard Inverter, the car of his own design, has gone through. He's made quite a decent start as well, because he started on the outside of the 5th row of the grid and he's up into 5th position there, I think. Andy Cumming, the Sutton Coldfield driver, having a look down the inside and going through though in car number 6. But the Reynard goes straight back again. But look at this for a lead halfway around the first lap for Oscar Kruger. Tim Gray's not made such a good start this time. He's gone down to 4th position. The field streaming through McLean's for the first time of this restarted race. That's the 17 car of Ian Charles there, his Radical PR6 for the man from Farnborough. It looks like this time through it's Jesper Vesterholm that's made it up into second position as the 77 car, which is that of Lewis Plato. He's in a Radical SR3, tries to find his way past Andy Cumming in a similar car. Andy Cummings, I should say. Plato there just challenging as they come up the straight. Tim Porter, I can see, with the Union Jack livery on his car, another couple of places further back, just tucked in behind Richard Stables, former champion in his Radical PR6. Turn their way through Hollywood. So the 2 SR3s having a good dice here, and Plato thinks about to look up the inside at the old hairpin there, but decides that discretion is the better part of valour and tucks back in behind Cummings. Up the road from them you can see Adrian Reynard in the Reynard Inverter. Good to see the Reynard and the Spire separating the massed Radicals that we have here. No surprise that Radicals should form such a large contingent of the grid, with so many cars now having been produced by the Peterborough manufacturer. And one of the great success stories of British car manufacturing really over the last decade or so. Battles on here. 43 is John Eriksson. You can see tucked in behind him is the 88 car of Richard Wise, and also number 50, which is Doug Carter, the man from Cumbria, and his Radical PR6. Into the gravel though has gone Andy Cummings, number 6. The man that was contesting 6th position with Lewis Plato. Well, the rear wheels are spinning, they're firing gravel into the air, but I'm afraid, Andy, you're not getting out of that. 53 car is Tim Porter in his Radical SR3. Driving standards flag going out for somebody though. And it is the 77 car, so that's Lewis Plato. Very much one of the championship front runners. He won the first 4 rounds of the championship as far as Class A was concerned. He was leading the championship after the Snetterton meeting, but didn't take part at Pembrey or at Silverstone. Not really focusing on this as a championship, but nevertheless I'm sure he'd like to try and get the title. Well, look at this. There is the battle that's going on for the lead of the race. It's John Paul Ivy in the middle of that sandwich of cars. Head their way down towards the chicane. Down to the old hairpin they come, and a move there being made on the inside of the number 16 car, and going wide there then is Oscar Kruger. That means that Jesper Westerholm has managed to find his way through. Forceful bit of driving there from one young Swede against the other. It's the man from Wolverhampton though, John Paul Ivy, that's doing a fantastic job of sticking with them there in 3rd position. Well, there's Jesper Westerholm. A bit more of a gap over the rest now. The traffic has played its part, no doubt about that, as we go on to the final lap of the race. So a bit more of an advantage now for Jesper Westerholm. But John Paul Ivy is involved in this battle. Further back, so is Tim Gray and Lewis Plato. Look at these 3 cars as they go on to the final lap. They're disputing 3rd position here, and they're almost side by side. Well, they are side by side. In fact, Lewis Plato trying to get 4th place away from Tim Gray, and I think he's done it. Good move that from the Essex driver. So they're both trying to get past John Paul Ivy though. John Paul Ivy in a Class B car, Tim Gray in a Class C car, and it's a Class A car for Lewis Plato. And these 3 drivers, the 3 drivers most likely between them to take the championship title. Adam McLean's up towards Coppice Corner for the final time. So it looks like Gray and Plato are both going to pick up maximum points within their classes, but of course John Paul Ivy is going to finish 3rd within Class C behind the 2 Swedes. So down to the chicane for the final time they come, turning their way through. And it's going to be a win here for Jesper Westerholm, but it's just going to be 3rd place for John Paul Ivy as well. 2nd place goes the way of Oscar Kruger. Lewis Plato a class win, and 4th Tim Gray a class win for him as well in 5th position. Confirmation of those results then, 2.2 seconds the margin of victory for Jesper Westerholm. Oscar Kruger it was in 2nd, and John Paul Ivy in 3rd position. Lewis Plato and Tim Gray both getting their class wins, whereas James Brakel, he finished 6th in the end. Best lap of the race to Lewis Plato. He lapped Donington Park at more than 105 miles per hour.
Jesper, well done on the victory in that one. You really had to work hard for it.
Yeah, it was my hardest race of the year, so I had to work real hard, yes.
And towards the end there, the gap really opened up between yourself and everyone else. You made the back markers work for you.
Yeah, when I got the gap, Oscar got some problems with his brakes, so I managed to get a little bit of gap, and it was enough. So
you enjoyed Donington Park today?
Yeah, it's a really fun track, but I hope I get new tyres next time.
Well done, Jesper.
Thank you very much.
Oscar Kruger picking up 2nd place there. Good weekend with the 1st and the 2nd.
Yeah, very good.
You're looking forward to more bike sports action maybe in the future?
What did you say?
More bike sports action in the future?
Yeah, I am competing in the MSVR series with the Radical Clubman's Cup.
Well done on 2nd place.
Thank you.
John Paul Ivy, well done on 3rd place there. I bet you're very happy with that.
Yeah, really good fun, great clean race. Kept with our 2 Swedish youngsters. I keep having to add to that, must be half my age. Really good race. Shame it was red flag to start with, but no, great fun. And pleased, I made a little adjustment to the car, made it a little bit quicker, so I was able to stay with the front 2. So that was probably my hardest race of the year. Even though I didn't win, it was probably the most enjoyable, to be honest.
And it was quite frantic because there was a lot of action right towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, Tim Gray, he's like a ghost. He's not there, then he's there, and all of a sudden, I can't remember what corner it was, I got held up somewhere by a back mark, and the next thing he's up the inside of me. I was like, Tim, where have you come from? But managed to get him in the end, so that's the important thing.
Well, two good results. Well done, John.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Before we go, there's just time to tell you the story of the day in the Premier Choice Group 750 Formula Championship. Earlier on, the win went to Billy Allbone from Dave Hodkin and Robin Gearing. For race 2, it was Hodkin and Bill Cowley on the front row of the grid. Cowley, in his Cowley Mark IV, made the best of the starts, while the red baton of Billy Allbone got away from the grid well initially, but then dropped back down the order. So it was Bob Simpson, in his 45th season of racing in 750 Formula, that was up to second by Redgate, ahead of Hodkin and Chris Goff. Those two drivers are the ones disputing the championship going into the final few rounds of the season. Much later on in the race, down towards the chicane, the number 21 car of Hugh Davis had a spin. The Phoenix was collected by the number 36 Race Kits Falcon of Mark Glover, and both cars ended up stranded in a dangerous position, so it was no surprise when the red flags came out. We thought that might be it, but there was in fact a restart over 4 minutes plus 1 lap. Having fought his way up into the lead, it was Allbone that took pole position for the abbreviated restart, Cowley next to him on the grid, with Hodkin and Bill Rutter on row 2. Well, this time Allbone made a better start, but still not quite as good as Cowley, and Bill Rutter, he got away very well indeed, tried to squeeze between both of them. So it was Cowley, Allbone and then Rutter, the top three, as they headed through Redgate Corner for the first time. Cowley was still in the lead of the race, ahead of Allbone, but he suffered a problem and had to go into retirement. So it was Allbone that went through to take the victory by more than 3 seconds in the end over Dave Hodkin, who still leads the championship. Chris Goff, meanwhile, finished back down in 8th position. Confirmation of those results then, Allbone it was that took the win in what amounted to a 4-lap race, Hodkin second and Bill Rutter third, with the reigning champion Dave Robson completing the top 4. Andrew Kemp, in only his second race meeting, finished 5th, ahead of Bob Simpson. As far as the championship is concerned, it's Hodkin that leads Goff by 7 points, going to Cadwell Park.
Billy Allbone, well done on your victory there in the 750 Formula, your second win of the day, well done.
Yeah, thank you, it's been a great weekend. Big thanks to all my team, and perfect way to round off the weekend.
You always kind of push on Bill Cowley, he's your good mate, but he didn't finish unfortunately.
Yeah, he's been my teammate for years, and I just tried to repay him a favour at the end of that second restart, but unfortunately I think it was his gearbox problem that happened to him, so I just had to open the gap out again to Dave and just cruise home.
A couple more races to come at Cadwell, you're going to see you there?
Yeah, and done very well at Cadwell lately, so I'll be hoping to change that.
See how you get on, well done Bill.
Cheers mate, thank you.
Well, that's all we've got time for here at Donington Park. There's still championships to be decided and lots of great racing to be had at Cadwell Park in 3 weeks' time. Join us there. For now, it's goodbye.